morning, everyone. We are now in the second and last day of the 4th Colleges and Universities Public Service Conference. Yesterday, we listened to the keynote speech of UP Philippine General Hospital Director Dr. Gerardo Legaspi, the plenary speech of the founder of the Maginhawa Community Pantry, Ms. Ana Patricia Patreng Non, and 250 papers presented across 12 parallel sessions. The conference's agenda today consists of 2 plenary sessions and 3 parallel sessions spanning 12 themes and 53 paper presentations. To formally introduce our speaker for this morning's plenary, please join me in welcoming UP Padayon Director, Dr. Jeanette L. Yasol Naval.
Good morning. To start the second day of our conference, we shall hear from a microbiologist and infectious disease specialist who is also the current Executive Deputy Director of the Philippine Genome Center. He is also the Director of the National Training Center for Biosafety and Biosecurity and Deputy Director for Strategic Initiatives and Emerging Programs of the UP National Institutes of Health. He finished his bachelor's degree in microbiology at the University of Santo Tomas. He took his medical degree and specialty in internal medicine at the De La Salle University College of Medicine, after which he went to UPPGH for his subspecialty training in infectious diseases. Subsequently, he received a research scholarship grant to the International Training and Fellowship on Emerging Infectious Diseases at the Center for Global Health, University of Virginia School of Medicine, where he worked as a research fellow and collaborator in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Center for Excellence in Biodefense Research. He has a diplomate certificate in both internal medicine and infectious diseases. Our speaker has been hailed as an outstanding young scientist of the Philippines from the prestigious National Academy of Science and Technology in 2008. He was given recognition as TMC Model Physician Innovator in 2007 for his exemplary work in improving healthcare delivery at the Medical City. He also received a special citation in the field of infectious diseases for the NASD DuPont Talent Search for Young Scientists of the Philippines in 2006. As a clinician and scientist, he continuously tries to narrow down the gap between basic science, medical science, biotechnology, and community service by combining all disciplines to reach a focused goal. His research bench to community approach is manifested in building a small army against diarrhea and malnutrition through his study group on enteric diseases, in creating and improving a home and research machinery through the Enteric Diseases Research Core Facility, in discovering and creating armamentarium like diagnostic test development, discovering drug combinations, chicken antibodies, and the like, and forging alliance with key stakeholders, which involves multi-sectoral collaborative work with the Physicians for Peace, University of Virginia, the NIH UPM, and Bahay Bata 127 of Payatas, all geared towards finding sustainable solutions for diseases of poverty, namely diarrhea and malnutrition. Colleagues, friends in public service, our first plenary speaker for today, Dr. Raul V. Destura.
A pleasant day to everyone. I would like to thank the Padayon Public Service Office of the Office of the Vice President for Public Affairs for inviting me to speak at the 4th Colleges and Universities Public Service Conference to talk about our work on low-cost technologies for the control of infectious diseases in the Philippines and our advocacy to generate new knowledge to find sustainable and equitable solutions to diseases of poverty. I don't consider myself as an expert in the art of idea generation and knowledge translation. What I can share to you, my dear shapers of our nation, is my own journey and the lessons I have learned as we navigate our idea towards knowledge translation. Others may have done this better than I did, but I hope I get to provide you a picture of my challenges, my hopes, my fears, my failures, and a little bit of success as we move our advocacy forward for the benefit of our country. But I will be talking to you about our journey on idea generations and how we were able to push forward the scientific community in providing service to our country through the development of diagnostic technologies for the COVID response and other infectious disease problems affecting our country. Let me just start with this quote that I kept on telling my students and mentees, that an idea will just remain an idea unless you execute them. So in today's talk, we will navigate the lecture through 4 major areas. One is a little bit of some introduction of where we are, the journey of an idea that we put together, what happened to the idea, and where the idea is actually heading. It starts with the willingness to take bold risk. Sometimes you have to be very audacious to challenge the status quo for us to be able to find sustainable solutions to diseases of poverty. And it all starts with need assessment. So before you actually develop something or create some solution, you must be able to identify first what is the need that is unmet in the medical community. So during our initial idea generation, one of the need assessment we have identified is access to one of the most powerful diagnostic technology for diseases, which is the molecular tools for diagnosing disease. So ideas are generated out of need and not the other way around. So let me tell you now the journey of an idea. The cost-limiting nature of molecular tools for diagnosing infectious diseases in the Philippines led to the creation of the Molecular Diagnostic Program in Biotech Manila way back in 2007 at the National Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology of the UP National Institutes of Health, while I was still then the director of the institute. Created molecular diagnostic programs ranging from vector-borne diseases, TB, multi-drug resistant organism, HIV drug resistance profiling, influenza, NTD, and waterborne parasites. This program has been adopted as the first flagship program for communicable diseases of the Philippine Genome Center and NIMBB UP National Institutes of Health in 2009, which created the Lab in the Mug project, which you might be familiar in some of the early news way back pre-pandemic times. This particular dengue diagnostic platform has been internationally recognized, gathering a gold medalist position in the 46th International Invention Exhibition in Geneva, Switzerland in 2018, and has passed evaluation by the ASEAN Novel Diagnostic Innovation Panel of experts in 2019, allowing the technology to cross border among ASEAN nations. Our major challenge, however, is not just developing a product, but how the idea reach our intended target. In the early years, when we were putting this out, there is no company willing to take a chance. for local technologies. There are no expertise in diagnostic kit manufacturing in the country. There's limited knowledge in technology commercialization from bench to bedside. There is limitation in the number of scientists skilled in the art of both research innovations and entrepreneurship. So we were at a crossroad on what type of approach we're going to do in order for us to reach our goals of our intended target, which are the marginalized sector. So it was a decision process between, are we going to go for a startup wherein there is no parental support, meaning institution, nor source for capitalization coming from the host institution? Are we going to go for a spin out, which means we will look for funding coming from outside with no support coming from the university? Or should we go wherein a spin-off approach, which is the usual route in other universities outside the country, that supports both parental, which means institutional, and private sector? So we decided to spin off as a company. So what happened to the idea? The idea became an initiative through the Tech Transfer Act of 2009, which recommends and encourages the commercialization by the researcher and the establishment of spin-off firms within the university without the need for the researcher to sever their ties from the university. In fact, they're actually encouraged to go on leave or sabbatical with support, with pay, just for them to be able to commercialize their intellectual property as generated coming from the university. So the Tech Transfer Act is one of the powerful laws that actually enable us to move the idea forward. The good thing is, in March 31 of 2016, the Board of Regents approved the licensing of the technology to the spin-off company, which is the Manila Health Tech Incorporated, during the 1316th Board of Regents meeting. Hence the birth of the first university spin-off company of the University of the Philippines, the Manila Health Tech Incorporated. The company spin-off 4 major pillars that will allow us to navigate ourselves in the industry, to find ways to make it sustainable, allowing us to develop products and services that will help support the needs in terms of accessing molecular diagnostic tools. Challenges were all over the place because it's our first time to work on this, and we've encountered so many along the way that we have to recalibrate our approaches. Just to give you an idea of some of the major milestone challenges we've had as the first university spin-off company coming from the University of the Philippines. So in August of 2015, the company was actually launched, and the Food and Drug Administration approved the company as a research and development company. At the same time, we were also approved as a special laboratory for clinical molecular services. And in the year after that, 2016, FDA also approved us as a manufacturing company, and our dengue detection technology and nucleic acid technology was also approved by the Food and Drug Administration. In that same year, the National Academy of Science and Technology has awarded our dengue diagnostics as one of the outstanding technology awardee, and at the same time, the tech transfer of such technology was approved from the University of the Philippines. In 2017, in order for us to survive and stay afloat, we provided services to cancer diagnostics for AstraZeneca and Boehringer Ingelheim. And that same year, our application for a fairness opinion review was actually approved by the Department of Science and Technology, allowing the company to transact with government agencies. And that same year, the Department of Health launched the pilot implementation program of the dengue kit, which allowed us to shift to robotic-based manufacturing, and we were all ready to engage, and then the Vaxia controversy came. And because of this particular controversy, majority of the dengue projects has been put on hold, and it became one of the most challenging year after that, no, for Manila Health Tech. The program had a standstill, and we were forced again to diversify in order for us to survive. In 2019, the country was faced with the largest dengue epidemic, no? And hence, because of this epidemic, there was a resumption of the dengue implementation program with the Department of Health to 3 regions, which necessitated for us to expand our manufacturing facility in order to be able to increase our absorptive manufacturing capacity. That same year, the company was independently valued as an 800 million company based on our technology portfolio. We were all ready to engage again for our pilot programs, and then COVID-19 came in the early part of 2020. This is our COVID-19 story. In December of 2019, a novel virus first identified in Wuhan, China, is spread like wildfire around the globe. Like most countries, the Philippines were also cut off from the global lockdowns, affecting not only access to global goods and services, but as well as access to diagnostic technologies that is crucial for case identification, monitoring, and surveillance. As the world scrambled for the ability to be able to test individuals, so as the limitations to access diagnostic technology, particularly the RT-PCR. As the global community tried to accelerate testing, supplies became a challenge, especially among countries with limited resources. As per law of supply and demand, the cost of the testing at the start of the pandemic ranged from $80 to $200 in the Philippines. And the only way we believe for us to change that is through local innovation. I remember sending this message to my research and development team on the development of a PCR-based assay based on the genetic sequence published at the early part of the pandemic. And that's how we started the ball rolling. As we were brainstorming our ideas, we wanted the diagnostic technology to be sensitive enough to be able to identify the disease at the early phase of symptoms. It must be specific enough to make sure that it readily identifies the virus and not something else. That the process of the laboratory performance should be shorter because of the time element of the diagnostic testing required to most number of people. It must be able to identify multiple targets at the same time to better appreciate the sensitivity and specificity of the technology. It must be able to confirm the diagnosis with certainty, and most importantly, it must be affordable enough for my countrymen. After several weeks of research and development, the Gen Amplify Coronavirus Disease 2019 RRT-PCR detection kit was developed. This is a one-step multiplex PCR platform that detects 3 genes of interest: the E gene, the RDRP gene, and the human endogenous sample control, the RNase-P. It can detect COVID-19 virus as low as 0.05 copies per microliter 100% of the time with 100% specificity. It generated a 91 to 100% concordance rate compared with foreign PCR technologies that were tested by independent laboratories in the Philippines. But the most important thing is, from $80, we were able to reduce the cost to $8. How did we come up with the cheapest COVID-19 RRT-PCR kit in the Philippines? In the Philippines, we have the Bayanihan spirit. Bayanihan literally means being in a bayan, and it refers to a fundamental aspect of Filipino culture working together as a community to achieve a common goal. Through a government, academe, and industrial partnerships, we were able to put all our resources together to come up with the cheapest technology that can be provided to the Filipino people. As early developers of the technology, the company and my team were placed on the global stage. Through sheer persistence, perseverance, and a can-do attitude, the company was able to increase its manufacturing output to be able to produce 20,000 COVID tests per day through our robotic-based manufacturing processes. To date, close to 400,000 patients were tested using the locally developed technology. And our post-marketing surveillance provides our client-based satisfaction rating of 9 to 9.4 over 10. More importantly, the diagnostic kit maintained its ability to pick up the circulating variants, including the Delta variant. Because of the local support, the generations of technology went beyond the development of the COVID-19 kit here in the Philippines. It generated over 160 new jobs for Filipinos and at the same time generated an additional 52 technologies coming from the outputs of our research scientists in the company. And moreover, we were able to pursue our dreams, which is this one. This is where the idea is heading. So looking at the future directions, it's important for us to decide that in order for us to get somewhere is to have that understanding that we're not going to stay where we are. We envision ourselves will build the health biotechnology ecosystem in the country as our contribution to the national effort. To continually nurture the growing biotechnology ecosystem in the country, the Manila Health Tech will create the first biotechnology park in the Philippines, and we call it the Light Hub Project, translating innovative ideas for tomorrow, today. The Light Hub Project will be the safe space of our scientists, entrepreneurs, and innovative thinkers in making their scientific ideas grow into an innovative startup, incorporating both the scientific and the business sides of it. The Light Hub project will be the central hub where our researchers will develop their prototypes with all the access to the expertise and support that they will be needing. Think about an idea like this. If you have a light bulb idea and you need a place to make it grow into an innovative startup, but you don't know how to run the business side of it, if you have a light bulb idea and you need a place to scale up your prototype, but you need access to other expertise in the field, come to the Light Hub. The role of science and technology for nation building is very crucial and very critical for our country to go to the next level. the role of colleges and universities in providing the right environment to shape young minds into a scientist, researcher, or a professional that are embedded in their hearts and in their soul the importance of love for country, for family, and for our countrymen. The importance of creating that safe environment for students to challenge the status quo, for researchers and scientists to find innovative ways, better ways of doing things, is very crucial in ensuring the future of our country through science and technology development. There are very few of us who are willing to take on to the next level because of the sheer amount of challenges one will actually face. But I firmly believe that it's going to be better in the future, and that all of the challenges we have encountered and is currently encountering right now will be better and easier for the next generation to come. And it is my dream that we provide such environment for everybody to thrive better in the future. The world as I see it, it's beautiful. We must all contribute to use our knowledge in making it better, not just for ourselves, but for every living thing that makes it wonderful. That we must be more active in showing love for country, that we must strive to find meaning in what we do, and that whatever path we choose them because it's what makes us complete. Over the last 16 years of research and development work here in the country, there are several lessons that I have learned along the way, and please allow me to share them with you today. I've learned that dreams are necessary to transform realities, and I've learned that persistence is a virtue. I've also learned that things don't work out all the time. I've also learned that researchers are not born. They are nurtured and developed. I've also learned that desperation is the mother of all invention. I've learned that ideas will remain just an idea unless you execute them. I've learned that geniuses are born and the smart ones are their bosses. I've learned that opportunity knocks only once, but you can certainly chase them. I've learned that you can also be smart if you stop making excuses. So if a smart man takes an hour to understand an entire concept while it will take you the whole day to achieve it, then better start making that coffee. So have a dream, start somewhere, and persevere. Thank you very much for your kind attention. May you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Destura, for sharing with us your journey of generating and translating valuable ideas into praxis, into technologies that further translate to service for our people. It was not an easy task, and we did get the humps and bumps that you had to go through to navigate your way to the creation and even the maintenance of the Manila Health Tech Inc. Thank you as well for sharing with us your heartwarming COVID-19 story, which led to the development of Gen Amplify, our TPCR detection kit, which came at the most crucial time of the pandemic. This is a case of government, academe, and industry collaborating, all working together in the spirit of bayanihan in the delivery of public service. Your idea of the Light Hub project indeed sheds light on the provision of the nurturing environment, on the actualization of ideas to facilitate the development of science and technology for our people again and for nation building. So thank you very much, Dr. Destura. Ladies and gentlemen, we won't have an open forum, and we shall now proceed with the awarding of certificate for Dr. Raul Destura. Thank you.
The UP Padayon Public Service Office, Office of the Vice President for Public Affairs, University of the Philippines, awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Raul V. Destura as the plenary speaker for sharing his experience and invaluable research in developing low-cost technologies for the control of infectious diseases in the Philippines, including the development of Gen Amplify COVID-19 RT-PCR detection kit. Given this 22nd day of October 2021, during the 4th Colleges and Universities Public Service Conference. Signed, Dr. Elena E. Pernia, Vice President for Public Affairs of the University of the Philippines, and Director Jeanette Eliasol Naval, Director, UP Padayon Public Service Office. We will now have a short break before we go to the 3 parallel sessions for today. Before we proceed, we would like everyone to take note of our house rules once again. Our penultimate activity for today will be a plenary session, followed by the closing ceremony, so please click the webinar link in your email again later after the parallel sessions. We hope to see the sustained energy from everyone as we learn from one another innovative and effective ways of bringing public service closer and safer to the sectors we continue to serve despite the pandemic's challenges. Padayon!